In this video I'll show you how you can recreate this mockup instead of Blender. I've already uploaded one video about the animation that you're seeing right now. If you're interested in the 3 files, you can find them on xrpage.com. I'll give you the link down below in the description. So that's the 3D scene. For creating these side panels here, it's really simple. You can do that by pressing Shift A on your keyboard and add a cube. Press G and Y to move it. Switch on the Z-axis and press S. After that, press S and Y. Now, scale it on the Z-axis. Press Tab in order to enter edit mode and press Ctrl R2 on your keyboard and press G and X. Okay. Now, go in Modifiers, Generate and press on Array and change the axis. With the count, you can select how many of these you want. After that, add the bevel modifier, because it is not applied in a correct way. To fix that, go on Object, Apply and Scale. And now you can play with the amount and also with the number of segments. In order to have these side panels on both sides at the same distance, I've just used an empty object. And for doing this, click on the glass panel, go on Modifiers tab and add a mirror modifier that you can see right here. As a mirror object, select the empty object. So this is just a scaled plane. For the pillar, I've used also here a mirror modifier, just like for this part. The pillar is really simple to model like before. Add a cube and move it on the y-axis. After that, press S and Z. Add a bevel modifier. Apply the scale like before. And add some segments. After that, press Shadow to Smooth. Now convert to Mesh. If you wanted to add some details to the angles of the pillar, you can do that just by pressing Tab and Ctrl R. Select something like 0.99. So after that you've pressed the Ctrl R, go on Face Select, select this face and this face that you've just created, press E, S and Y, and now you can extrude inside the face. Select also these 2 other faces and press E and X. Now I'll show you how you can recreate the screen. So add a cube just like before. In the scale or in the dimensions tab you can select the aspect ratio of the screen. So in this case I've used for the x-axis 0.3 and for the z-axis 0.4. For the y-axis it doesn't really matter because it's not going to be seen. After that you can scale it. Remember to scale it just by pressing S and not by pressing S and X, because in this way the aspect ratio will change. Press Tab in order to enter edit mode, select this face and press I on your keyboard to insert a face. Now select with Alt and left click this part and press E on your keyboard. Now press Tab another time and press Ctrl R. So actually this part will be white and this part and the interior part will be black. For this little composition at the side of the screen, I've just used 3 different scaled cubes with Apply Scale and also the bevel modifier. So just add a cube and scale it the way you like. After that, press Shift D, Z and move it and start to create a composition of shapes that you like. Keep in mind that because we've used this block on the top of the pillar, this other block needs to be shorter. So let's say that this one is your final composition, for example. So select each individual object and press Apply and Scale for all of them. In this way the bevel modifier will be applied correctly. And just like before, use the mirror modifier with the empty object. After that, add the bevel modifier for each one of the objects. Obviously, use the mirror modifier just like before for the other objects. I set the camera to 4000 pixel by 3000 pixel, and for the rotation I've just used the 90 on the x-axis. Now let's talk about the lighting. I've used two array lights, one here and one here, to illuminate the first part of the scene. The array lights has the spread to 170 and just 4 watts because I didn't want it to be full bright. I just wanted to have kind of gray. Here I've also used the two other array lights. This time the spread is set to 87 and the power is to 3. For creating that light, press Shift A on a curve, select path, press G and Y, and add just a little bit of depth. I've used 0.0008. So for this light I've just used the simple material and I've set the strength of the emission to 1. Talking about the materials, I've used for the main screen the principal node that has roughness 2.3, and I've connected an image. Just press Shift A and search for image texture. After that, press open. I've connected the image to the base color and to the emission color that has strength to 1. So in the case that you don't know how you can apply different materials on the same object, just press on new and create the first material. After that, go on slot and press plus. Here, click also on new. For example, here I add an image texture and I open it. Here, click on slot 2 and press assign on the face that you have selected. How you may have noticed, the image is not displayed in the correct way. To fix that, change from properties to UV editor. Select the cube, press on tab and select the face. That will be the screen. Go on the Z-axis and press right click on wrap faces, and now press on project from view bounds. Now as you can see, the image is displayed in the correct way. Keep in mind that in the case that you have it rotated on the other axis, project from view bounds will not work correctly. So just rotate the screen and it will work. So make sure that the screen is in the right direction. For the pillar, I've used this little procedural material for creating the reflections that you can see in the render. So for creating that, you need to use the roughness value, as you can see. I've used a texture coordinate connected to a mapping node that has the scale to 5.9 on the Z-axis. After, there is a massive texture that has details to 15 and dimension to 0. Other two values are the default ones. And an RGB curves. The RGB curves is important because I can control how much roughness I want. So that's without the RGB curves, and this is with. After that, I've used the two different bump nodes for creating the holes that you can see on the surface. The little details are generated with a noise texture that has high scale and high details. Also here, like for this one, I've changed the value on the Z-axis for the scale. This noise texture is connected to a bump node that has strength and distance to 0.15, and this is connected to the normal of this other bump node. This other noise texture has a scale of 20 instead of 200, and I've used this color ramp to control the intensity of the holes, so the value is 0. And for the second indicator, you can use a value like this one, or you can just leave the default white color. This bump node has both a strength and a distance to 1. The glass material is really simple. Add a glass BSDF, and here for the value set 1.5 and press enter. I'll show you why. So this is with 1.5 and this is with 1. So I just wanted to add more white, so 1.5, and in this way is also brighter. For the ceiling, I've just used the principal BSDF, metallic to 1 and roughness to 0.22. So the floor is created with this material here. At the start there is a texture coordinate with a mapping node. For the base color I've used these 3 different steps, so the first one has a mask texture with a color ramp. So these are the value of the mask texture, so 20 for the scale and 6.9 for the details. 0 for the dimension and lacunarity to 2. The color ramp has 0.6 for this value and for this other value has 0.8. And is the A value of this mix color. The second mask texture has the scale to 3.1 and the same details and the same dimension and the same lacunarity. This time the value is set to 0.5 and this other value is set to 0.9. After this mix color I've used another one, and this is the A value of this mix color. The B value is a noise texture with a scale to 6.2, details to 15, and the color ramp has 0.2 and 0.4. For the metallic value, I've used a mask texture with low scales 0.5, details to 12, 0.8 and dimension to 0. The color ramp has 0.2 and 0.3 for the indicators. The roughness is controlled by these 2 node setups, so I've used a mask texture with an RGB cursor and another mask texture with another RGB cursor. The difference is that this one has a lower scale, so 3 and not 10. As the dimension 2.4, here is 0 and the details are 6.2 and 15. Here I've used the mix color set to lighten. So that's how I've created the floor that you can see right now. I've used the same floor also in this render. The only difference is that this time I've created the floor with the cubes that have the bevel modifier applied. By the way, if you're interested in the wallpapers that you've just seen, you can find them and also the 3D file on my website. I'll give you the link down below in the description. That's all for this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Subscribe for more and see you all in the next one.